Okay, now we're live. It should be. So far, we have a 0. Nobody's watching yet.
Well, good, because I need to. I wrote join. Typo.
I always mistype my name when I'm sending an email, or it'll say like Marl instead of Mark. So, hey, Bill, thanks for having us on, by the way.
No problem.
We appreciate your support.
There, now somebody's watching. All right, so for those of you that have not watched one of these videos, this is the interview session for episode number 518 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show.
Wow.
And I've been putting them out on videos since the quarantine started. But it will be edited into an audio podcast. And if you go to parockshow.com on Friday morning, you will find the podcast, the show notes, and this video will be embedded in the bottom. But the whole idea is to try and push people to check out the show. It has been around for over 15 years, if you're new.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Started September 4th, 2004. So 16 years will be a couple months from now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
Congratulations. It's awesome.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start the intro. Christina, was there a certain song you wanted me to play?
Okay, I picked the last two, so Mark. And we could send them to you. We could send you the new master versions.
Okay.
You don't need it right now. That's for later, right?
No, I just need to know so that when we get to that point, I can say the title.
Yeah, I would say Isolation would be a great starting point. It's quick. It starts off quick. It's good.
Good intro one.
Yep.
So you need two, though?
No, just one.
Okay.
And something to write on. That might work.
It's our most punk song.
All right, here we go.
There it
Sweet.
Hey, it's Bill, and you're tuned into the Pennsylvania Rock Show, featuring the best unsigned rock and metal that Pennsylvania has to offer right here on parockshow.com, megarockradio.net, 107.1 FM, St. Louis, Missouri, rootaroo.radio.com, altrockradio.ca, xrpradio.co.uk, and buildthescene.com. I think I got them all that time.
a lot to remember.
There are a lot of them, and all over the place. It's San Diego in there. We have the United Kingdom. We have Toronto, Canada. St. Louis twice. Here in Leechburg.
All right, Leechburg.
That's the one I usually forget, my own. So with me tonight are Christina and Mark from the band The Shadow Event.
Hello.
Hey.
And this is episode number 518. Christina's been on twice? Once.
Many times as guests, but, commenting and having fun with the other people on, but just once.
See, what she didn't think about was that I now get to ask her the question.
Yeah, I know. And I didn't even put any thought into it, so it's fun.
And that's where we're going to start, too.
Sounds ominous. I don't know what this means, but
we are in this together.
So the question is, if they were going to make a cartoon episode that featured the Shadow Event, what cartoon series would it be in, and which character would play you?
Let me just start by saying that's a horrible question.
Well, it came from her, so
Chris, that's a horrible question.
They don't get easier though. So,
all right, we need to think about the darkest cartoon. What would that be?
Oof, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Scooby-Doo, but there's something shadowy about the villains in Scooby-Doo.
All right.
So I'm kind of digging that.
All right. So who are you?
I don't know. Dave would be Shaggy. Dave or Mike would be Shaggy.
Dave would definitely be Shaggy.
So we know that. We can go through the process of elimination. You're not Daphne.
Okay, thank you.
You're not the nerdy one. That's for sure.
Hey, you call me stupid.
No. Like kind of like you're like the fun one. You're like Ginger.
Yeah, what's her name?
Gilligan's
There's Daphne and there's
Thelma.
Thelma, yeah.
Oh, Thelma's the nerdy one, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm Daphne.
All right, then that makes me the dog.
If anybody calls me Daphne now,
that either makes me the dog or the preppy guy.
I'm gonna say you're Fred.
I could be the preppy guy, I guess. I don't have an ass going on tonight, but yeah.
Mike will be Scooby.
Mike will be Scooby. Dave is Shaggy. Christina is the non-dorky girl.
Sometimes.
And I'm the tool. Yeah, thank you.
Wait, somebody could be the monster, with the mask.
Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah.
You want to be that one?
Yeah, sure.
You're that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
That's better than ascot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next.
Please.
Oh, see, we're going along the same route.
If you cancel that question out and don't ask it.
I can't believe we don't have any live comments yet. I don't.
So along the same lines, they're going to make a rockumentary about your band. Who plays you in the rockumentary?
Ooh. Like any actor, musician, or anyone?
Yep, either way.
Huh.
Wow. Well, people say that I have a striking resemblance to Paul Giamatti, and I know as handsome as he is, I probably
he's pig vomit.
Yeah, it's pig vomit. I probably resemble him. So if he were like a guitar player and slightly less cool, I could be him. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go Charlize Theron.
Oh, shooting high. The bar is set high.
She
went from Daphne to Charlize.
Hey, at least they're both hot.
Mike could be Animal from the Muppets.
Yeah.
We're gonna introduce you to Mike and Dave next time. They're characters for sure. Who would Dave be? Dave would be like the guy from the Young Ones. You ever see the Young Ones?
I have not.
All right. Well, you got to look it up. There's one dude on there. He's got long, straight hair. He's kind of like a hippie. Neil? I think it's Neil. Yes, he could be Neil. Yes, and I think he'll appreciate us saying that.
Yep. Let's see where to go from here.
We know how this goes when you and I are podcasting together. Either one of us know where it goes.
If the roles were reversed and you were hosting a podcast, what would the podcast be about?
To you?
I don't have to be involved.
Well, why not? Maybe I want you to be.
Oh, grasshopper! The teacher has become the student.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's a teacher, so I would want to know everything that happens in your classroom. I would want to know how you have to act, and then your real thoughts.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah, we're not putting that on tape.
Some kind of like thought bubble, like something above your head. Here's how you're answering, very like well, yes, Josh, that's right. That answer was exactly incorrect. And then you could be like, wow, this is the dumbest kid I've ever seen.
You got it wrong again. I just showed you.
Usually, what I say is, "Oh, would you like to help her?" and call on somebody else.
I like that.
Child labor laws.
That's good. That's a good. Help me help you.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that tip. That, or when they panic and they're like, I'll go ahead and pick someone else to answer for you.
That was a good question.
Yeah.
Let's see. We'll get all the oddball ones out in the first segment, then we'll talk about the band.
Who's that?
This is kind of fun. This is just fun. I don't.
Bill rocks. Love him.
If I were a tree, I'd be an elm. Strong in the center, but lots of branches. Like Fred from Scooby-Doo.
I'm the leafy one. You don't know if I'm going to blow this way or blow that way.
There's actually. Do you know that there's a word for that?
How many jokes?
For the
How many jokes? Yeah.
for the wind going through the leaves.
Give me my next song title. Go ahead.
Actually, it's the name of the next band on 3 Questions in a Song. That's how I know.
Oh.
It's Scytherism.
Whoa.
Oh.
That sounds like
I imagine that's hard to say if you have a
I
list.
had to go to YouTube and have him play it. So
Is there a medication?
I knew how to say it.
I thought I had Cytherism in high school once. Oh my god. It's terrible.
It's PSITHURISM.
What is Cytherism?
There's a silent P. All right, don't do that one to your students.
Wow.
That's not nice.
Yeah, that's torturous. I mean, both the disease and the name. That's wow. Just kidding. If you're listening, Cytherism
They
for prep. Do we need to list the side effects? It's going to take you 40 minutes to list those side effects.
see, now that's a perfect question. So, what are the side effects of the shadow event?
Oh, nice little twist there. Okay, all right.
Dancing, Bill. Lots of dancing. No.
Confusion.
Fun.
My son just poked his head in the room and told me to shush.
You're not allowed to have fun, Dad.
You would be a cool dad, I gotta say. It's a pretty cool gig you got here. So
I have fun with this.
yeah.
And clearly, I've been doing it for a while. It actually used to happen in this room live where I'm sitting right now. Bands would come in right behind me and set up, and we would stream live. And we'd interview them, and they would party at my house.
Oh, I remember. I remember you saying that on one podcast that I chimed in. Just as a live comment that you were saying that you've had them in your house before. Have you thought about coming back to that?
No.
Can't handle musicians. Yeah, that'd be your son telling everybody to be quiet.
I mean, it was at the time when I first started the show, I didn't have any kids. And now I have a son who's going to be 12 in 15 days. And my daughters will be 10 in 2 months.
Sweet. Oh, congratulations. That's wonderful.
So when the twin daughters were born, that was when this ended.
Got it.
Because there's a 2-year-old and 2 newborns. It was
Yeah. Mark has 2 kids.
I got 2 kids. My son is going to be 12 in September, and my daughter will be 5 in December. So they're awesome.
Yeah,
and
they
so
are.
much fun.
They really are.
Yeah. And I'm happy to say that neither of them have Cytherism. So
I'm going to give his wife a quick shout out too. His wife is a huge supporter of our band. She helps out in so many ways. Nikki, you rock. We love you.
Yes, you do. We definitely love you. Thank you. That's really cool.
Of course. Love her. Yeah.
What's next, Bill?
Don't taunt me.
Oh, you know you like it.
If you could play, and Christina, I may have asked you some of these before. So
I'll let Mark answer.
Oh.
If you could play with any band, like you're at a concert and you're like the Foo Fighters thing where they're holding up the signs, I want to come play guitar. What band would you want to get on stage with?
I know there's a couple. There's about 3 or 4, but Bob Mould would be one. He's like my number one guitar player. Hendrix for sure. And I'm not saying I compare it to any of these people, by the way, but it would just be fun to share the stage with them, and I'd be in awe. And I love Wilco and Nels Cline, incredible guitar player. That'd be my 3.
And Christina, if I asked that one, I asked it a little differently.
You did actually. So okay, I'll say
Beatles.
Bjork and the Beatles too.
Yeah, so definitely.
Give them the Beatles.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna disregard that one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Bjork and Beth Gibbons from Portishead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I'll just stop there. It's good enough.
Those are good.
Okay.
Man.
So yesterday I interviewed Ray Powers. I don't know if you're familiar with who he is.
The name sounds familiar.
He's part of the record label Man Hands Records. And he has toured with the Drifters as a bass player.
Wow.
Among some other bands. But he just put out an album called Now I'm going to blank. A decade of singles, 2011 to 2019.
Okay.
And he is he was the 3 questions in the song interview for June 15th.
Okay.
And he's the reason that I figured out what Scytherism meant, because I only looked up how to say it. He looked up what it meant.
Teamwork.
So he played bass with the Drifters. He must be a phenomenal musician.
He has won. I don't want to put false information out there, but he's won 2 awards for songwriting too.
Oh.
Also, now you're going to force me to look it up. Let's see.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it.
Now, since he played bass with the Drifters, who were his musicians that he would like to stand on the stage with and play?
I did not ask that question.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to follow up with him. That'd be an interesting. He's probably played with a pretty interesting group of people.
Hey, here we go. I'll read part of his bio. 3-time Billboard Songwriting Award winner Ray Powers is a second-generation vocalist and performer. His father, Ray Sr., was a prominent bass vocalist in the Brooklyn a cappella doo-wop groups, the Deacons and the Montclairs.
Okay.
Blessed with perfect pitch, following in his father's footsteps was imminent. Ray Powers has played piano since age 6, having taken 4 years of classical lessons, and typically composes songs on piano before doing so on guitar or bass. The other instruments which are the other instruments that he proficiently plays. Powers embarked on his first U.S. tour at age 15, spending the entire summer traveling the country with the Christian band Bliss.
Wow.
After spending the next decade playing bass in hard rock bands on the New York club circuit, Ray accepted an internship, the new indie. I see I messed up the name of the label too. The new indie startup label Mad Hands Records.
Okay.
Within 2 years, Powers had earned this opportunity.
I was just thinking, I was like, it's like Mad Hands. I don't know what that.
See, that's why it's good that I can go back and edit.
Are they soft or are they rough?
I wish I had more of a man hand. I've been told that. I've gotten over it.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Ray's reputation as a bassist merited him the chance to tour with rock and roll and R&B legends such as Charlie Thomas's Drifters, Tavares, Ben E. King, the Chiffons,
man, yeah.
Lou Christie, and Danny and the Juniors, the Skyliners, the Capris,
Pittsburgh band Skyliners, yep.
The Capris, Diamond Dave Somerville, and many others.
Wow. Holy cow.
So that's who I interviewed yesterday.
That's massive. That's a really good get.
Yeah,
and this is really cool. Before we went on the air, I was talking to him, and he's a Steelers fan.
All right.
Not a Penguins fan.
Nothing about Pirates.
No, not really anything about Pirates. But he was talking to me about New Kensington and Crafton and Moon. And he's done some recording at Mr. Smalls, and he was just rattling off. Wow. And I was like, did you live here before? He's like, no, I would just spend some time there.
That's really cool that he was able to remember those things. That's our neck of the woods. And, that's amazing. Skyliners, by the way, are an amazing group. And Jimmy Beaumont and the Skyliners, Since I Don't Have You, I mean, they had so many songs, and the voices were amazing. And that guy, for Ray Powers, at a perfect pitch. I don't know what this is, but it's like a 1% of the population or something like that has a perfect pitch when they sing. It's such a rare thing. So that's a really interesting thing about him.
Nice.
Now we got to do some research. We got to go look him up and check him out, as well as the Man Hands record. So yeah. Check that out too.
You got to quit doing that because I have to edit that stuff now. I don't edit video.
This is Jazz Hands. This is Man Hands. I might have to edit that. Sorry, Bill.
I don't edit video. Behave.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'll edit it out of the audio. I hate video editing. That's probably why it took me 15 years to start doing it this way.
All right. Give us another question.
if you could play with any band at any location on Earth, like it doesn't even have to be a normal venue. Who would you? Yep, anywhere on Earth. Unless you want to go to the space station or something, I guess you can answer that way.
SpaceX, next generation, Gen X.
Who would you want to play with and where?
Italy, yeah.
Oh man, I would love to play. Any band. I would love
any band in the history. We'll even go that way. You can pick people that are no longer alive because
because
according to Men in Black, they just went back to their planet.
Yeah.
I would play. This is such a cliche answer, but I would like to be on that stage with the Beatles at Shea Stadium to hear how loud and powerful that was. Although, from people that were there and then from their accounts, it was a horrible show because I couldn't hear anything. And it was just like crazy. So, but that would be such a once in a lifetime experience. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Or like Jimi Hendrix in Monterey. Monterey was like a little bit of a cooler festival, in my opinion, and just his set was incredible, and that would be that'd be insane.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, thanks. Or Ray Powers, in any of his various gigs.
See, this question, some of my questions get names. This one is called the Diesel Beast question. And I'll explain why after Christina answers.
Off the top of my head, probably so much different than the last time maybe I answered this question. I'm going to go right now with Jane's Addiction.
Oh, man. Wow.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Another once in a lifetime unique.
Yeah.
That would be incredible.
Mm-hmm. Will you settle together?
Where are you going to play with them at?
I don't know. I don't do big shows, so I really have nothing. Why don't you give me a place to play with?
How about like a Lollapalooza or something, like the first Lollapalooza? That would be. We were just talking about Lollapalooza, and we feel like I don't know. I think it's destined for some kind of
comeback.
Yeah, reemergence or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dave, our bass player, is a huge Chili Peppers fan. He was.
Yeah. So is a drummer.
Yeah, and Mike is as well. Chris, as you can tell, is not a huge fan.
And they both wore a shirt the same day for me.
It was funny. It was. But he was watching Lollapalooza from like 95 or 96 or something like that with the Chili Peppers on it, and yeah, that would be a cool. I don't know. I think that's destined. I think some of those cool festivals like that, despite maybe not having a lot of people congregating right now in things, I think sometime in the next couple of years, it's going to come back big, bigger than it has been. So
I'm glad you mentioned that congregating thing. It is Wednesday, June 3rd, which I normally don't announce in the recordings, but earlier today, Rock for Life released their dates for Gigaroo, which is July 10th and 11th, and Rock for Life, which is August 7th and 8th. We were worried that those shows weren't going to get pulled off, but they announced them today.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And for those of you that aren't familiar, Rock for Life is a concert series that raises money for children that are battling deadly diseases in the area that I live in. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's good news. That's good to hear.
Okay. So the reason it's called a Diesel Beast question, that's a band from Denton, Texas. Oh. And when I asked them that question, their answer was Stonehenge with Dio.
That's perfect. There's a lot of Denton, Texas. Okay, so believe it or not, Denton, Texas has a huge space rock scene and stoner rock. That's kind of going on there. At least it was 20 or 30 years ago. I'm sure it's still happening there. So that would make sense. Stonehenge with Dio from a Denton band for sure.
Well, they're kind of like a classic metal band.
Okay.
So
there's a band I just heard, and I'm not going to be able to remember the name of them right now, but they have the most metal album cover I have seen in years, and the band is really good. But it's a huge speaker, like an old school stereo speaker, in the middle of like this ocean, and then there's like a big mountain behind it and stuff like that. And you have to see it after the podcast. I'll send you a link to it or something like that. But the band is really cool. and they're like a stoner rock, metal, just kind of rock band.
I'll put it in the links of this show.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it looks like a Dio cover. It definitely looks like a Dio cover, but it's really cool.
So that you rattling off genres brings up an interesting question that wasn't answered last time.
Not the Scooby-Doo
What I
question.
do wrong?
It's been a little while since you were on, Christina. So what genre is your band?
Wow, that is a tough question.
That hasn't changed.
That's when I still remember when Joanna sent me the message. She's like, "You need to check out this band." I'm like, "What do they play?" She goes,
That's what everyone does. That's why one of the sound effects would be from the Shadow Band Confusion. I know what I say, but I'm going to let him answer this because I say it all the time to people and I want to hear what he has to say.
I don't think you can pigeonhole us into a genre, but what I will say is the influences we have are really like pretty wide ranging. And, you know, we have this weird kind of, I can't explain it. It's definitely rooted in rock music and with some punk behind it. But we don't sound like a punk band, like a raw punk band.
Like you can hear the elements back there. You can hear the background, but it's not in your face punk.
Yeah.
Except for Isolation.
Yeah. That's a little more straightforward for
which
sure.
we're going to play later.
Yeah.
This is a good segue.
If you took Susie and the Banshees and mixed them with the Talking Heads and mixed them with I don't know,
a little bit of Jane's Addiction.
A little bit of Jane's Addiction and the Chili Peppers, you know, to a certain degree, and you merge that together. That's what I would say. So it's a little bit, it's rock, but it's got a little bit of a new wavy kind of feel to it and a little bit of energy from punk for sure. Mm-hmm. And a little rawness too at the same time. You know, we're not perfect in what we do, but.
All right. So teacher, if you had to come up with one word to call all that, what would you call it? Teacher.
Man.
Teacher.
You're going to have to ask me the next time we do this. You guys got a couple months.
And those are, you know, that's not to avoid the question, you know, but that's like, we have a lot of different influences. So it's very difficult to, I think when you mix it all together, it comes out to be something unique, you know, and we really stand on our own. And that's not to sound, you know, arrogant or something like that. But I think that the songs themselves, when people hear them, they're really, it takes them to a place that, that they're really, that they're comfortable with and they like, but it's also a little bit edgy and a little experimental and slightly avant-garde and just a little different. So it's got a little bit of an edge to it. And that's, that to me is what we are, you know. There's something about our, if I can play off of that for a second, like even like with our name, like the shadow event, you know, there's kind of like dark and light, that kind of juxtaposes each other. It's a different,
right.
It's a different kind of thing.
I think that might be the first time anyone's ever said juxtaposed on the show.
I just saw that one.
Beats me.
But the best part about it, Bill, is
I think it's JUXTAPOSE.
Well, that's yes. I think you're right.
Yeah, we're gonna check that, but
But the best part about it is that it happens organically. Like we don't
Yes.
look to seek to fill this sound. You know, it just happens. All of our songs, mostly all of our songs. Some pieces Mark has brought in, and we've been able to build upon it. But most of our material comes from just our energy coming into one room, and it's freestyle. And I have my laptop recording for those reference tracks, and there goes another song.
Yeah, Christina, if I can say something about your vocals for a second, just then about your feel, like you have such, Christina has such a cool groove to her that it's just kind of like it just flows with everything we do.
Aww.
And the you know, and Dave and Mike are like incredible rhythm wise. Like it's amazing. And again, not to sound arrogant about it or anything like that, but I really think it's something different. And I think when people see us, and I think when people listen to us, you know,
they receive it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna mess up her name. Is it Jonna or Jana?
Jana.
It's Jonna.
Jonna. She saw us at Get Hip for a gig last summer.
The best reaction we ever received.
Yeah, and she nailed it.
You
You
rock.
know, it was like, yeah, it was perfect. You know, and like she was.
The article she wrote about
It
us.
was incredible, and,
Yeah.
that's something that we really. I always go back to that and kind of like read it occasionally just to
Yeah.
remind me of things. And she wasn't sure what to make of everything, but she wanted to hear it again. And I think that's really important and different. You know, we're not super complex and difficult where you can't like stomach it, you know, and digest it. But
We're not like the next new thing either, you know. We're
No.
just something that everybody needs, like taking music back to the wholesome realm of music. You know, you have all these innovators in our past history of musicians and bands. Not that we're comparing us to them, but that's where music needs to go. Everything is rinse and repeat in the music industry right now. And I think everybody's just thirsty for that real organic, you know, material that has just a vibe and a connection, and our listeners receive that.
I agree. We're just complex enough to keep it really super interesting.
Yeah,
You know, and
taking a turn on each song.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, you guys just killed a bunch of my questions.
We can still have fun with them.
No, that's great. I'm going to steal the topic from my favorite podcast, which is the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus.
Mhm.
I'm
That's a
gonna
great name.
I'm going to steal the topic that they had yesterday,
All right, let's do it.
and plus it gave me a chance to mention them.
That's a great name. Yeah.
Their topic yesterday was the best supergroups in the history of music.
Oh.
Super groups.
Can
Can you define a super group for me first?
Really?
Sure. Would you like,
It's us now.
would you like me to give you an example?
Damn Yankees? Do you mean like Tommy
Yeah.
Shaw and Ken
Yeah.
Nugent? Or do you mean like
Whenever.
Yeah, like Damn Yankees or Velvet Revolver,
okay.
you know, bands that took people from other bands that were great and created a new lineup.
I actually don't know too many, honestly, but the one that I do know that caught my ear, and it was on a Peaky Blinders episode, Frank and the Rattlesnakes, Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, yeah. And I couldn't tell you which bands they were coming from, and I think they're coming maybe out of Australia. Could be wrong with that too, but there's a devil inside of me. Ugh. Christian teacher.
Isn't that the title track on that show?
That might be, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I haven't watched it in a while.
yeah.
You
Because again, I have a soon to be 12-year-old and 2 10-year-olds. And they don't like to go to bed anymore.
You got to go
So supergroup on you.
Dio and Sabbath. You know,
Oh.
Ronnie James Dio and Black Sabbath together is pretty
Okay.
stupendous.
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 Breaking out all the good words.
JUX. No.
I got yelled at with my answer because I told him the Highwaymen.
Oh, wow. Okay. The Highwaymen, the Wilburys. How about Traveling Wilburys?
Yeah, they came up.
That'd be a good one. There's probably a million of them that I'm not thinking of.
I
Right now.
know none of them. Really, I don't.
But yeah, the Highwaymen don't really fit into that rock and metal genre that they were.
No, but that's a good call for sure.
Yeah, they're like, this is guitar-driven rock. I'm like, yeah, but they kind of influenced it.
Yeah, you can appreciate all of it, you know.
Right. Because they're
Right.
coming together and still being their own thing.
Yeah, and you know, Damn Yankees were not a super group. For the record, I'm just saying that. I mean, you know,
I can only think of
I don't.
one song, and I couldn't even tell you the title, but it's the. Can you? No, wait. It's similar to Creed song too, lyrically. Man, I'm not even gonna go there. Because now I brought up Creed, which means people are going to be coming.
yeah, this interview's off course, Phil. I got to tell you,
Led Zeppelin?
we're going down. Yeah, Greta Van Fleet, best supergroup ever. Since Robert Plant joined the band, they've been so much better. Oh my gosh, Frankenmuth, Michigan, you have so much to be proud of.
See, theirs went off the rails too. They started talking about Milli Vanilli.
Oh, there you go. How many for real, how many artists really were in Milli Vanilli? We'll never know. There were so many.
Next. Rinse and repeat.
I liked Milli Vanilli.
I mean, if you're
Girl,
going to go
you know
Milli
it's
Vanilli, you got to
true.
go Trent D'Arby to Wishing Well.
Oh,
Come on now.
wow.
At least he sang.
Yeah. He really sang. He was English. They were all English.
Oh,
Interesting. Can you edit that part?
No.
No, absolutely leaving that in. My editing process has changed over the years. Now it's they said the F word. Beep. Okay, keep going.
I've seen it.
Is there any local supergroups? Pittsburgh supergroups.
If you want to look at it that way, kind of, yeah, that would be Royal Honey. Shout out. That'd be one. There's
Excellent.
a couple other
Incredible
ones.
musicians in that band.
Yeah, Cal Stubbs. I'm sorry, you know Cal.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
actually Cal Stubbs, the drummer of the Cheats, and he's now in a new punk band that I can't remember the name, but I know that they're like all older. Well, I can't say that word because I am too, but seasoned, veterans, of Pittsburgh music scene. So they're in a new band, but yeah, he actually, because we were in do we really want to go there?
No,
I mean, if you want to stop, I can go where I was segueing to with that
There we
question.
go.
Yeah, segue out. Yeah.
That's what you say now.
Keep that shout out for Royal Honey in there, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're actually gonna be on the show on September 18th.
Cool.
So, notice
Okay.
that, yeah.
All right.
And they're on 3 questions and a song in July, but I don't remember if it's the 1st or the 15th. But the segue is build your own supergroup from the Pittsburgh scene.
Oh. Ooh.
There's so
See,
many.
now you're regretting going, yeah, go ahead and segue out.
So now, this isn't like something that we're in. It's something we want
Nope.
to.
You would be you can manage the band, but you can't be in it.
Oh, they don't want me managing
All right. Man, I can name a couple guitar players that I love in the city. I love Max the Wax Schneider from Filthy Lowdown. To me, like he's one of the most technically proficient and just really rocking guitar players. Him and Brandon are excellent in that band.
Yep.
I like Dave Bizard,
Yep.
Who's in multiple bands.
Yep.
He's an incredible musician. Just a hell of a nice guy. Super cool guy. Johnny and Razor Blades. Anybody from that band is you can't. They're just like they just play and they're just great and they rock and they're fun. And John Stecker, the leader of that band, he just recorded us and is mixing and mastering a lot of our songs. So we're just on the verge of getting something out. And we'll have a single release on Friday on Bandcamp when this podcast releases. Nice. So
remind me, and I'll link to it.
Yeah, great, because he's done an incredible job interpreting what we wanted to do.
And today's his birthday.
Oh yeah,
happy birthday, John!
And happy birthday. That's right. Happy birthday, John.
All right, I'm gonna piggyback off. I'm gonna cut you off, and I'm gonna say so. He named Dave. We're gonna have 2 guitars. 3. Dave and 3 guitarist bands are amazing. If you've never heard one,
is this band gonna be Skinnered?
It is, yes.
So Mike,
Mike,
we're pulling you in from Johnny and the Razor Blades, and we're gonna have Max and Brandon and Dave Bizard on guitars, all taking turns. Brandon's gonna be in the background, rolling on the ground, doing his thing, going through the crowd, taking a pee.
Okay.
So as a singer, I think I'm gonna bring in Sean Murphy from the Molecule Party.
Awesome.
Next to who else did I have? Nabbits. I lost it.
Last week's episode was Nox Emesis.
Inco.
And Sean Murphy was picked as the drummer in this question.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Can I say something though?
But like he programs the drums, and they played. Yeah.
The backing tracks. Yeah.
We would put Inco Fido as like the band.
Yeah.
They're like all those guys combined to be the super group.
Yeah. That is like Skinnerd.
Oh, yeah, they're insane. Like it's like unbelievable. If you took them and Johnny and put them together, I don't know what would happen. It would combust. It would be incredible.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you tell me about your song Isolation, and then we'll take a short break and listen to it and come back which really means that we'll pause for a second and then keep talking.
Cool. Go ahead, Chris.
So, should I say it? Should I get it out there?
Yeah,
Isolation was originally called Anxiety. The lyrics are based on, and the energy is based on anxiety. But through this lockdown, quarantine, we felt it appropriate that it fit the time. So we wanted to change that name, Anxiety, to Isolation.
Yeah, it fits what so many people are feeling right now, and like
because there's a breakdown in the song where I chant isolation. If I do it live, when we do it live, I chant isolation a few more times than I do on the recording. But there's a breakdown where I chant isolation, so it kind of just fit.
Yeah, it's very pertinent. Not planned that way, but it's just the song is it's quick and it's concise. It's 2.5 minutes long. But the performance is great. Chris does it's a very heartfelt, just kind of like this kind of isolation, anxiety, and you feel it in the song. So it's immediate. The song's very immediate sounding, but it also has a breakdown in the middle. It sort of takes you into a place where you feel like you're going down a hole almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a dark song by any means, but it makes you sort of it's I don't know. I think it's what a lot of people are feeling right now.
The craziest thing is my mom. That's her favorite song. it's our hardest song. And she's like, I love that song. I'm like, wow, you go, Mom. and to side note, that's what we end up doing to our demographic. Like we just pull people that are like, the boomers and, 80-year-olds we've had moving in the streets and, people from the hood, like, and millennials, like we cover all. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, everybody just moves to our stuff. But yeah, isolation, anxiety, and that comes back around, circling back around it. They feel our energy through our music that is naturally there.
Yeah. So check it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we're going to play Isolation real quick and we'll come back with the Shadow event.
Cool.
Okay, so those of you that are on the live video
that
or
was
watching the video,
sorry,
you have to go to the website or one of the streaming stations, or if you're in St. Louis, you can listen to it on FM. But
nice,
you can't hear it here on the video because then Facebook will mute us. Hey, we're back. That was Isolation by the Shadow event. And Chris and Mark from the Shadow event are hanging out with me today.
Hey.
And let's see. We kind of covered some of this information on the band, so maybe I got to throw some more oddball questions at you.
Let's do it. I want brand new.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Come on, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 years from now, kids in elementary school are flipping through their social studies book. You know this question.
Sorry for them.
and they get to the part about the pandemic, and for some reason, the Shadow event is in that section. How did you get on that page?
I mean, at least you'd know how to spell it.
Yeah, I mean, if it was an ailment, I would say, yeah, easy, like that happens, But it's
actually, if you think about it, that would be the perfect name for the whole quarantine lockdown, because you're in your house, you're in the shadows. You're tucked in there. And actually, when we first went into this, I posted on our Facebook page saying, keep tucked in the shadows. So it's actually quite appropriate. We should be the chapter title.
True story. We should be the theme song to the quarantine. We should be the I mean, what more positive?
Writing.
We are humble.
We would love to be associated with this. It would be wonderful.
I mean, that seems like a great way to get your name out.
Yeah.
They're gonna ask for the album for Christmas.
Here's what I would say. I'm gonna give you a very band-centric answer. We would be perfect in that time period because all of our songs take a twist and turn and take that listener on a ride that they don't get tired of. So they can it can be their desert island disc or their quarantine island disc. They can listen to it multiple times and never get bored.
And this is a videography, like a special effects. We are 6 feet apart.
Yeah. I have a mask on right now.
In case this picture gets put in the book.
Yeah. In case.
I know I said we were going to avoid this topic, but I'm going to ask a question anyway.
What were we talking about? We were talking about history books.
We were.
Yeah.
History.
What was the best thing about being stuck at home, and the worst thing about being stuck at home?
There's a best thing.
I've been able to work remotely, which has been at times, most of the time, has been a positive thing because I've been able to see my kids more during
Yes.
off hours, when I'd typically be at work or something. So that's been good. And my wife. So, we've had like good, like more like family kind of time.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. The bad thing is we've had more family time. And, I used to have hair, and then.
Funny you should mention that. I let my daughter shave my head during this.
I mean, that's my take on this whole thing. And when we come, here's the good news. Look, I always believe in a silver lining. I believe things are meant to happen for a reason. I'm hippy dippy that way. But hippy dippy. I think it's true. We're going to come out of this and it's going to be summer and it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
We'll be able to dine outside in most counties. And
he sounds like he just came from watching the news.
These are my daily reminders. So I think that, I think that there's a positive to this. You sort of recognize like some of the things that are important to you.
I mean, you have no choice but to take what you can in the best way from it. That's it.
Yeah.
So the thing that I'm getting the best of is I'm saving money. I'm getting more sleep.
Good.
I mean, I love going to shows. I love supporting my friends, and I love to shoot pool on the side when I'm not going to shows. But being home and getting my whole gig wardrobe set up and other things that have been like, I'm been in my house for 5 years and I still have boxes that need unpacked, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's so that's the well, wait, what was the question?
Best and the worst.
We're revving up. Like we've been trading off ideas, through messages and stuff. Like we're ready to go. We haven't practiced in like 3 months.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but like we are keeping in contact. I'm sending new lyrics, and Mark's sending guitar riffs. And we have means to move forward with it, but we're waiting. We're going to keep them idle on the back burner, simmering.
In a weird way, it's sort of like the timing wasn't horrible for us. We had a great gig earlier in the year. We did a Pittsburgh show, and that was awesome. We played with just incredible bands, and the people who came out to the show were incredible. It was a lot of fun.
Shout out to Creech Mike and Amy Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so good to be a part of that. And then, we that was our debut show with Mike, our drummer. So it was excellent. Yeah. And then, having a little bit of time kind of off as a band is not been a bad thing for us because, John's he's been mixing the record, and like he's been working on that, Stecker. And so it's been good to we're probably driving him crazy because we're like sending him like notes on stuff and texts and everything else, but like we have a lot of time on our hands. But but at the same time,
I did that to my web host. I thought they were going to drop me in the first 2 weeks. I kept going, well, what can I do with this? Why doesn't this work?
I mean, we're Italian. We know what we want. Okay, we need more seasoning.
We talk with our man hands. We talk with and our jazz hands. So it's like it's a callback. But we've been working on that. Like we've had stuff to work on. We got the Bandcamp site set up, Reverb Nation. Like we've been working on like all that like kind of stuff that you want to do as sort of like in the background, but it's given us the time to work on those things.
And at the same time, we're kind of growing. Like this is kind of giving us a metamorphosis stage. It's good things are definitely happening, and we can't wait. Our first practice again is tomorrow.
Yes.
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Loud.
More music coming.
Fun.
Yeah.
So for me, the best thing was that I got to show up off my technology skills to my superintendent, and the worst thing was that I started teaching from my kitchen.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you feel like the kids are judgy on you? And I'm only speaking from experience because I'm judgy on everything I see on TV now. What about your background? Are they like looking at your kitchen going, is that really where he keeps the sugar?
Yeah.
Or is that where did he clean?
So to answer that question, we started doing our lives our live Zoom lessons in the second week. Like
Oh.
we gave them work to do, but we didn't start doing anything live until the second week.
That's early.
And but then we went. I saw my students for 45 minutes every day except for Friday. Friday was a if you owe us anything, you need to come see us at this time and we'll work on it day. So, but I also had assignments for them to work on, and we would go over them in the 45 minutes. But to answer your question, that first week, I decided I sent my wife was going to Walmart, and I was like, buy me a bunch of neon green poster board. So,
Nice.
so then she comes walking into the kitchen, and I'm taping the poster board to the wall, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm making a green screen. What do you think I'm doing?" So behind me is an actual green screen, but in the kitchen there's neon poster board taped to the wall still.
Like your science project green screen.
It's still there. You're like, I put so
Still
much effort into it. It's staying just in case something happens. It's real green screen.
Well, I mean, Friday was our last day, so it's not like it's been there for a long time.
Right.
But I mean, we may be starting the school year that way, so maybe it needs to stay up.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, family will be. They'll love that. Yeah, their wife will love that.
But I will tell you, one day I was doing, I was showing the 6th graders how a hotspot works. And to do that, it's very different than you do it at school, where you have a Bunsen burner and a beaker, and so I ended up putting a griddle on my stove and grabbing my I have an SJ4000 camera, which is like a action cam, but you can use it as a webcam. So I have it set up in front of the stove, and then I have a measuring cup with sand in it, and a candle underneath the sand, and you heat it up, and what happens is the candle will melt, and because it's less dense than the water, it goes up and it forms an island. But that camera has a 170-degree wide angle. So while I'm teaching them, I can see in the chat room going, "Hey, is that bread over there?"
So physics didn't come into science class.
And then apparently there was something on the bottom of the griddle, and when I turned everything off, the top of the oven was black because something caught on fire, and I didn't know because it was under the griddle.
That's excellent.
That's a good story.
But
see, we're all learning through this.
We are. This is science. Yeah.
You're teaching them, they're teaching you.
You should have seen. I was teaching magnets to the 4th graders.
Yeah.
And electricity.
Okay, that's
in
fun.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Man.
Do we want to talk about this?
So like, we have these science kits. They're called FOSS, which stands for something, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But look it up. It's fossweb.com.
Right. By the end of this interview, we're going to come up with something that acronym means. So let's think about that. We're going to go ahead.
It's FOSS.
Think about that.
But they're these kits, and they come with all the stuff you need to teach. Like I'm doing magnets and electricity and energy. So there's like 3 boxes
Teachers
that are. What was that?
We're bad students.
I said, teachers talking.
I was giggling. I was chuckling.
So
we're in the back of the classroom heckling right now.
I was thinking of words with F, O,
you need
and
to yell
S.
at us.
I've got 2, but I'm working on the O.
Continue.
But anyway, so I'm trying to teach magnets
We
and
were originally going to
electromagnets.
call our band ADD.
Foss was the first name of the band. Fosserism. With a P.
pH.
PH. Phosphorant.
Now, see, now we're talking about acids and bases,
Narcissism?
Yeah.
which kind of could go into the music scene too, probably.
I think it could work.
Anyway, so I'm teaching magnets with a little magnet off my refrigerator and a needle, so I can teach them magnetic force and how it will move even though you're not touching it. And
that's the way to do it, teacher. Now you got our attention. Go ahead.
Yes. We are so fascinated by science. Yes.
But
We are, for real.
we did do we had a teacher appreciation parade for
Aw,
Teacher Appreciation Week,
and
and we went and stood in the parking lot with masks on, and they drove by and
nice.
waved.
That's
Yeah.
But that day I ran into my room even though I wasn't supposed to, and I grabbed like half of my kit and brought it home.
Aw,
Enough of this magnet stuff off my refrigerator.
yes, yeah.
And that's how I built the electric magnet. I cheated and brought stuff home.
There you go.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And those kids are better off today for that.
Well,
As
yeah.
they
right.
don't feel authentic.
Because now you're teaching how you would in your classroom. Yeah. I'm with it. Break the
With my seventh graders, we were doing bacteria and fungus, and yeah, they didn't get anything hands on. I was in my kitchen. Anyway, back to you guys.
Well, you know I like talking about you too.
Let's see. We'll get 2 more questions, and it'll probably be helpful if I knew which 2 I wanted to ask. We'll do another best and worst. What's the best part about the music scene, and what's the worst part about the music scene?
Oh, you don't want me answering this again.
I have a very politically correct answer.
I mean, if you want, I could ask you best venue, worst venue, but then you're burning bridges.
No, we can talk about. Here's the best and the worst thing about the music scene in my mind.
Local, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
the Pittsburgh scene. Like, there's not a band that we've played with that's been bad.
Mhm.
So, like,
Yeah.
you know, which is good and bad, because it's good because you really want to keep up, because every band we've played with has been, and it's different than I remember from being a kid and going out to see shows. Like, I remember not liking a lot of bands, that I was able to see when I was younger, and now every band I see is like great. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
there's so many good musicians, so much good songwriting, good performance, and it really keeps you on your toes. So that's a really positive thing. It's bad, that you always have you always want to do better, but that's also good. So I don't know. I don't have anything negative about.
So win, lose, win.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, it's all very good.
And it kind of crosses over into your other question about the venues. If we had more venues to play at, I think we would have room for all these bands to grow and have our own space. It's like my description, and I think I may have said this on the last podcast, is, we're all coming across the Fort Duquesne Bridge, outbound into the Fort Pitt tunnels, bottlenecking. We're all friends, but when we're in our cars, we're elbowing at each other. You know what I mean? And it happens, whether, we're still cool with each other, but because our city's small and we don't have a lot of venues, I'm not going to say that one that closed. It's the biggest one for us indie rockers, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it would be great to have more places like that,
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So that's like the worst for me. Yeah.
That was the perfect way to say it. Cut you off. She was talking about Fort Pitt Bridge. You have 200 feet, change lane.
That is.
We're
that
not
is
in
tough.
carriages anymore. We're not in horse and buggies anymore.
I hate that bridge.
I don't
I'm
blame
so
you.
glad that I live 45 minutes from there. The only place I hate worse in that area is the Robinson Town Center.
Oh,
I will not drive there.
Who-
My wife's like, we're going to the town center. I'm like, you're driving.
yeah. I don't like it either.
I look at that town center like I look at IKEA. Like, everything, I can't pronounce anything. It affects my driving. It's just like everything's got umlauts.
Like the
It's
arrows
just
are
like,
telling you where to go, but you're still lost and still
it's like-
confused, and everybody's like carts are everywhere, and
it looks like a ransom letter. Like, it's just all these different, like, you drive around there and you don't know if you're going over a curb or over a pedestrian or a Swedish meatball. You don't know what's happening. It's like, or a Spensman. It's like you're just driving through there and I've almost driven through the Steak and Shake. I don't know. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad out there. I don't blame you. That's worse than the Fort
McKnight
Pitt
Road
Bridge.
too.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about all these negative roads in Pittsburgh.
That might have to be its own podcast.
The Shadow is just gonna square up right in the middle of McKnight Road and have a show.
Yeah, we only play in places.
Where are
we
you
can
trying to
get
go?
we can commute to without frustration. That's our
Throw an IKEA meatballs.
that's our rider. Yeah. Can we get there in 15 minutes or less?
How many bridges do you have to cross to get to McKnight Road? Because your fans might not follow you.
Yeah, I got to cross at
Fortunately,
least
though,
3.
I'm going to give a shout out to our fans because we have been, and that's the bad thing about the quarantine and the lockdown is we had a momentum. We were really building, and we have a good solid fan base, and there's quite a few of you, and you should know who I'm talking to. That there's a lot of people that are really digging us and following us. So yeah, they would cross bridges.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Christina's been in the scene for a lot longer than I have, and she knows
Good
so
save.
much and is so just kind of built into the scene. But
I like that.
it's been interesting. It's been really great for me. I've got to meet so many nice people and like so many cool people that come out to support us and support local music and like and I don't even like using the word local because it's like the music that we're doing, the music that other bands are doing is not local. It's universal, and it's not. It reaches far beyond what we do.
That's a great way to say that.
So
I start using the word unsigned anytime we talk about bands.
Unsigned is good. Like it's just it's so much better than the word local denotes, and like but there's so much positivity happening. There's so many good people that come out to see us and see other bands. It's incredible. We see a lot of familiar faces, and it's really cool, and a lot of new faces too.
Music is here to unite us.
Yeah,
should be.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
See, now you sound like Jonna.
It's true. It's very true.
Man, I should have used that time to think of another question, but I was listening.
We engaged you, Bill. We had you thinking about that.
Can I call on a friend? Let's see.
Pipeline.
Do you want to know about my ceiling in the game
this
room?
This question doesn't count.
Because that can be judgy. I'd be judgy about the ceiling. It looks like Tron. It looks like the movie Tron. It's like we're calling from the future.
I mean, they kind of have the outfits I wear.
Yeah, we are.
There.
Oh,
hey,
there it is. There's the green screen. There's an umbrella back there.
Let's keep it real.
There is. It's not. It is a lighting. It's a light.
Hey.
But it's not on because this camera doesn't like it. Whereas the better camera that I'm not using, it needs it.
That color reminds me of somebody very near and dear to us too.
Yes. Yeah.
So go ahead.
He wants to give a shout out to Bob Fryer, Dirty Art, DURTY, Dirty Art. He has done a couple pieces for us. He's an amazing artist, Bob Fryer. Great dude. Yes, fantastic, genuine person.
Yeah.
So if you see the picture of the umbrella on stickers or our t-shirts, nice shout out.
Yeah, it's incredible. Bill, and just like the science project with the magnets and everything, like that's, if you watch one of Bob's videos online about how he paints, and like you'll be mesmerized. It's incredible.
Yep.
The skill and the artistry, like it's so unique and different. It's really cool. Really cool.
I'm gonna have to tag him in the show notes.
Excellent.
Yeah, check it out.
Excellent.
Yeah. The other thing I need to start doing is mentioning who's actually in the picture behind me. That is the band X Factor 1 from Cleveland.
Okay, all right.
Cleveland.
It's a great shot, by the way. You took that, right?
Cleveland? It might be Columbus. I think it's Columbus. Yes, I did take that shot.
Yeah.
So how's that have to do with the PA Rock Show, man?
Because they come and play the Rock for Life show all the time.
I feel like this is
is
a Brown Steelers conversation being said, but like not being said.
So ultimately, here's what happens. And actually, this is how 3 Questions in a Song was born. Was because I had all these bands that wanted to come on that weren't from Pennsylvania. And 15 years ago, on the spur of the moment, I didn't think about what I was going to name the show. I just, we'll just call it Pennsylvania Rock Show.
Yeah.
And then, like, I've had bands. I had a guy from Jamaica in my living room on the show. I've interviewed people from Wales.
Wow.
And Sweden, country artists from Sweden. So, and I turned a lot of people away because the name was Pennsylvania, and I was like,
got it. Yeah.
And then like my wife was on board in the beginning before we had kids. Like she would hang out. She talked to bands. We used to go and follow bands all the time. And when I started 3 Questions in a Song, it's not that she's not on board anymore, but she has other things that have her attention. And I was recording, I think it was episode number 4, and my son walked into the room, and I was telling the person that I was talking to that my wife didn't know about the podcast yet. Right as he walked into the room, and he went. So then I had to go tell her, oh, by the way, I'm doing 2 now.
But that's circling back around to what we were saying about the local music scene. You're not just keeping it strictly PA. It's the build the scene. You don't know what scene it is. Unsigned, yeah. Coming back to you saying unsigned. Yeah. And
there's if you listen to the radio station on Build the Scene, there is music from all over the place on there. There's a band called Hicks, which is the band from Sweden that is playing country music. There are bands from Wales. It's Celtic Assault was that band.
Nice.
They kind of reminded me maybe like Rage Against the Machine.
Oh yeah? Huh. They're recent?
No, that would have been early 2000s.
Yeah.
But I still play it because I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about owning your own station. You decide what gets played. Yes. And it's not just rock and metal either. I have jazz on there, I have blues, I have some hip hop.
Really? Okay. I need to listen to that while I work then.
There's not a lot because, and Joanna will back me up on this. When I started Build the Scene, and she was very much involved in that, because I convinced her to let me build the first Angel Media website.
She believes in you because you rock.
And so I'm terrible at taking compliments because you haven't noticed. In fact, someone.
Are you blushing?
I might be. There was a post.
Green screen.
I think it was Hugh Twyman posted something about me helping him get started with the video series that he's doing now.
Yeah, you guys connected recently. Yep.
And all these people started commenting about me, and I responded to the first one, and then on the second one, I was like, "Look, I used my best line on the first one. I'm sorry." Thank you. But I don't even. Oh, so there was a group out of Austin, Texas, that came in and did a case study on the Pittsburgh music scene, and I'm sure you guys saw some of it. Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe.
Was that a hard?
Maybe not.
No. I don't know. I can't remember.
Maybe not.
There's that Love Pittsburgh music website.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, it kind of disappeared, but it was it was that group and why how do you WYEP?
Yeah,
and
I do remember this. This was like about a year ago, right? Or maybe like 9 months ago.
It was probably 2018
or maybe a couple years ago. Okay,
but
I do remember this. Yes,
I mean it still comes up occasionally. But Johnna was going to the meetings, and one of the things that came up was that there wasn't a website that you could just go to and learn about the scene. Well, much like everything that I've done, like the Pennsylvania Rock Show, and this is all stuff I'll cut out later, but the very first.
I have something good. You sure about that?
The very first Pennsylvania Rock Show, I had just started my website, akmusicscene.com, which coincidentally, if you go to it, it'll bring you to a section of Build the Scene now. But I just started it, and there was this woman in Texarkana, Texas, who had a website called bandsthrivingOnFans.net. And she found my website somewhere, and she contacted me, and we started talking through AOL Instant Messenger. And at some point, she said, "You should check out what my son's doing." Well, at the time, he was 14, and he was running an unsigned streaming radio station that's all unsigned rock and metal bands.
Wow, cool.
What year was this?
It would have been 2004.
Okay.
And he came to me one day, and he's like, "Look, my computer has a virus. I really need to shut it down, but I have like 300 people listening."
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
he was yeah.
Yeah.
Smart
and I was like, well, I said, if you show me how to run the station,
Really?
I have some music from bands that, because I design websites for bands, and I was like, I have some music from some bands. I can probably keep it running for a little while you fix your virus. And then I called the lead singer from the band Cage because I didn't have a microphone.
I was going to ask you about that, actually. I wanted you to tell him about them.
About Cage?
Yeah.
So
he played them.
I'll get to that.
One, yeah. Yeah, we can have that back in.
But, so he sent me some software, and Brian showed up with the microphone, and we did a couple hours while he was fixing his computer. His name was Chris Hawthorne. And we finished, and Brian looks at me and goes, that was pretty cool. We should do that again. So that was episode 1. Following Wednesday, he shows up with a mixer and a bunch of microphones, and there are probably 10 to 12 people in my living room from different local bands, and they played cover songs because we didn't know any better. And that was episode 2. And to this day, my wife blames Brian, which is great. I told him the last time she posted it, I was like, I'm so glad you were the one that said it. But so I walked backwards into it. It wasn't even something I had planned. And for the first, so 2004 until 2010. So first 6 years, they were live streams over the radio, and bands would come here and play and party, and I'd wake up the next week to go, or next day to go subbing. Next week, the next day.
You said it, man.
I know. I'd wake up the next day to go substitute teach, and I'd have to step over people because they were sleeping all over my house.
Yeah.
Is that the Cage story you want me to tell? You want me to tell about the bass player?
That sounds like you were not in a cage. No, I wanted you to tell Mark about, I couldn't remember the band name, and you played them the last time I was on the podcast for us. How do you spell it? K-A-J?
It's K-A-J, and has parentheses around it. It's the special spelling of the word cage.
Yeah,
okay.
They're pretty good. Yeah.
I'll check them out. Yeah.
They sound a lot like Alice in Chains.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. A little bit of like Alice in Chains Deftones, would you say?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yeah.
Depending on which version you listen to, too.
Yeah, right.
Because there was the not really the original band, but Brian was the lead singer on there was a self-titled EP that came out, and then there was a full length called Bombs. And then he left the band, and Wally Wright joined, and he's currently the singer in the band Scale, which is a much heavier band.
Skell.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were more, I would say Deftones more there than they were when Brian was in there.
Okay.
Wally is definitely, like, Brian has a ton of range and is very clear and crisp, and Wally can do the melodic stuff, but he also can do the growl and scream, and whereas that's not Brian's forte.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
they're really good. I like them. That you turned me on to them.
I'm
You're talking about Cage, right?
trying to think where I was going with all that. So I walked backwards into the Pennsylvania Rock Show.
Oh yeah.
And then Build the Scene was similar. So John is going to these meetings, and I had already registered the domain Build the Scene because we were trying to. There was Dakota, who's DI Records now, and Jonna and I were kind of.
His last name.
I don't know.
I know, right? I'm gonna Google translate that one.
I had him on the show, and he said it for me, but I can't do it.
Silent P.
I think it ends with check,
Yeah.
but there's like 6 consonants in a row. So Jonna, Dakota, and I were working together a lot while that case study was going on, and there's a little bit of an issue between Jonna and Dakota. So I joked at the time because he had transitioned. Originally, his website was palocalbands.com, and I built that website for him.
Yeah.
And taught him how to use it. And then he transitioned into Devil Inside Promotions.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then Devil Inside Records, and now it's DI Records.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
Because
I didn't know that one.
because some of the bands on the label aren't really metal or rock, and that devil inside kind of gives you that feeling.
Yeah, for
Got it.
sure.
So I used to joke though that I had a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, and I was in the middle because devil inside and first angel media.
See?
But if you know anything, the first angel is Lucifer, so really I had two devils.
Right. So yeah, one more question for us.
I did.
My martini's empty. I love you, but I don't think you're gonna wait for the shaker.
So that's the question I ask on my wife's lives. She does. I don't know if you've been in a couple of them, Chris, but she does on Friday nights. It's called Sip and Shop now.
Yeah.
And when they get quiet, I yell, "What are you drinking?"
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Okay.
Good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, her show's fun. She sells a lot of great jewelry pieces. Yeah. But she keeps it fun. She has like where you have to like comment the same word like over and 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 over. Like you're watching it the same word blasted by the same person like 500 times.
The other day she had if you came in and you typed the word Play-Doh, like Plato, you got a chance to win free jewelry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So every time somebody typed Play-Doh, I typed Socrates. And she started giggling, and then she'd tell me she hated me. And then yesterday, someone came in. It was the first person pops in, and I typed Socrates, and she goes, "Enough!"
Yeah, her shows are fun.
Someone told us that they wait for her to come on live so they can turn the TV off and be amused.
I'm saying, it's a fun show. Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
I think I might ask you this one, but if you could take your favorite album and forget hearing it, so that you hear it over again for the very first time and you have that euphoria of that this is so awesome feeling. What album would you want to forget so you can do that again?
Oh man. I have one immediate one that popped into my mind, and then I could probably there's a million of them. So Sugar Copper Blue, released in '92 after Husker Du broke up, and then Bob Mould had a couple solo records, and then he formed Sugar with two other guys, three-piece. Copper Blue was amazing because it was kind of a combination of Husker and his solo stuff. So it was melodic, but still had a nice kind of razor edge to it. It's really good and tuneful. But there's a million other records like that. There's Yankee Hotel Foxtrot by Wilco. There's Black Love by the African Wigs. There's just a million of them. Yeah, there's a million. There's this is there's a million of them, and it depends on the era of life that you're in.
Yeah.
Right, because everything affects you differently depending on what's going on at the time.
Or the hour of the day too. Like with the mood.
There's the Beatles Revolver. I mean, there's so many that you could do that with.
Yeah.
That's I think my answer is still the same. I think it's Destroyer by Kiss. Because really that was my introduction into rock.
You should have came to see us at Kissburg. We did. Do you know what songs we did?
I think I asked you that, didn't I?
We did Black Diamond. He wanted to do Black Diamond. It was a perfect choice. And then we were kind of at the bottom of the barrel, so we chose and we were surprised that nobody else actually chose it. So we did Black Diamond, and we also did Rock and Roll Night, whatever it's called.
Nobody picked that.
Right? Yeah. And then Amy Pittsburgh said that nobody chose it last year either. Isn't that weird? I know.
Weird.
I know.
Yeah, we weren't too cool. We did it.
We did it.
We did
it.
We
rocked. No, we did.
Yeah, Black Diamond. Truth be told,
that's a keeper.
Yeah, that's a really fun song to play.
We didn't sing it like differently. I go higher on the part.
It's such a good rock song. We didn't do like the extended, like the 5 minutes of it at the end.
We wanted to, but we had to sing 30 minutes.
Yeah,
and that's really hard for us to do.
And the Replacements do a killer version of that song, so it's kind of like our version was kind of in the middle between the Replacements and Kiss. You know? So it was good. It's fun.
Do you know what made me a Garth Brooks fan?
No, I'm out of here.
Really?
Talking country. I'm leaving.
No, wait. You have to hear what it is.
Bands from Sweden who play country. I don't know.
So Garth Brooks covered "Hard Luck Woman."
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he did that.
Yeah, there's an album. It's called "Kiss My Ass," and
I
remember
it's
that.
all bands covering Kiss songs.
Do you know what when I think of Garth Brooks? You know what I think of? A thumb with a cowboy hat. I don't know. He has that look to him. Next time you see him, I just want you to think about that.
We're not
Think about
country music fans.
Think about a thumb
At
with
all.
a cowboy hat on. That reminds me of Garth Brooks.
There aren't many country artists that I would go see live. He's one.
Yeah.
It's probably
Him.
amazing.
Yeah.
Brooks and Dunn.
They all wear nice shirts.
Oh.
Why can't I think of his first name? Alan. Something Alan.
I'm legitimately this sensitive to country music.
Well, I mean, you have to. There are so many older country artists that have influenced rock,
The
though.
older ones are better.
Oh, yeah, the old stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
The new
You know?
stuff, the poppy stuff.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, the
Yeah,
raw
I
stuff
can't.
with the emotion, is amazing.
hmm It's darker. It's a shadow event.
Whoa. Hey, can we send you another song to play on the show too?
Oh.
You can send me another one that I can play on a different show,
Okay.
Okay.
but
Which one?
I can't do it on this one.
I was
There's
thinking.
radio laws.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe.
I have learned some things in 15 years.
Right.
All right. He wants to send you a mosaic.
Yeah, we'll send you Isolation and Mosaic. They capture us pretty well, the range.
Those two, yeah.
Yeah, I can.
It's like the Wicked Witches, the East and the West.
It is, totally.
I feel like I'm in my classroom now. 'Cause when I'm trying to teach something, the kids aren't getting it. I'll be like, "Did you ever see the movie?" It's kind of like that. Sometimes though, I have to bite my tongue. Did you ever see the movie Con Air? Oh, never mind.
I can't say that either.
One time, I'm gonna actually let me go off the air before I say this. So, you've been listening to the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 518. Very shortly, you're going to hear John Lane take us out, and you'll hear some more of the best unsigned rock and metal that Pennsylvania has to offer.